good afternoon, everybody. It is 4 p.m. on Tuesday, February 15th, 2022, and we will bring this Personnel Human Services Committee meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Johnson.
Here.
Krygier.
I'm here.
Fox.
I'm here too.
Petitions.
Yep.
Coonan.
Here.
Radke.
Here.
Herrick.
Here.
Quorum present.
All right, thank you. So next up on the agenda are the minutes from January 18th, 2022.
I'll move them. Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? If none, all in favor?
Aye.
And the minutes are moved. I'm sorry. Any opposed? No. Okay. Then the minutes are moved. Thank you. Now comes to the portion where we get to public input. If there is anyone in the crowd that would like to come and address the board, you may do so. Please make sure you state your name, write your name and address in, and we've got 5-minute time limit if we can.
Here he is.
5 minutes should do. I just want to introduce myself. I'm Judge Joseph Sheeran. Joe, please. And I know most of you, but I've just been appointed by the Supreme Court to take on a new role as Chief Judge of the Bay County Courts. So in that capacity, I look forward to working with all of you again. For those of you who don't know me, I have a long history of association with the board and working with the board. Not quite as long as Deanne, but just a little bit behind.
I got you beat.
You do. Back in another life, I actually was the Deputy County Executive and Personnel Director for the county, and then for 14 years I was the County Prosecuting Attorney. And I've been one of the circuit judges for another 15 years. But to be the Chief Judge brings me back home here to work with all of you, and I'm looking forward to that. And I appreciate all the guidance I've gotten from the County Executive and his staff over the years, and look forward to seeing you. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else today? All right, seeing no one else, we'll move on to petitions and communications. Petition A, Commissioner Krygier, 2nd District Army Corps of Engineers, terminology use for regional permits at Category S and Category T.
Yes, sir. So
I'll support it. You're moving it, right?
I am.
Yeah, so he moved it, he supported it, and now I think you want to have discussion about it?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. I've got a few years invested in working with different organizations, that being the Corps of Engineers in the state. And the concerns that I have, and that's why I'm bringing it up for support, on letting the Corps know that, you know, it's semantics, it's games that they play, and I need to make sure that our state park, as well as the Pinconning Park and beaches that are owned in the private sector, are protected and allowed to maintain and keep them clean. So with them wanting to go back to a wetland type designation instead of a non-vegetated beach, which allows for grooming, is important to myself as well as private sector and our 2 beaches that we're trying to maintain. If they are allowed to go back to a non-wetland designation, I'm afraid our ability to continue to pursue additional shoreline to be groomed at the state park will be in jeopardy. So that's why you see this resolution in front of you guys, hoping that we will be able to let the Corps of Engineers know that we're watching, and it's nothing more than that. So thank you.
Since I don't understand the wetland, I know you can answer this. So it's when it says non-wetland, and the difference between the wetland, they said that if it goes back, it'll be non-wetland again? Is that correct?
Part of the problem is when we talk about wetlands, we're talking about Tobaco, for an example, okay? Whereas all of the shoreline could be technically designated as a wetland. I mean, we have, 3,200 miles of shoreline in Michigan, and if the Corps had their way, they would be able to claim it
As well.
correct, and there would be a green belt of vegetation throughout instead of the shorelines that we have right now. Where it really comes into a factor is we're just coming off highs with our water table. And so the bay has already started to recede. And as we have more shoreline exposed to Mother Nature, if we don't maintain the ability to keep it groomed, like we did have a problem in the 90s with, if you recall, there was vegetation that came onto our shoreline that the department in Lansing, the DNR, said that this vegetation coming was so important to prevent erosion. Well, the vegetation they thought was so important turned out to be Phragmites. And it caused a lot of grief. And so we want to make sure that we're still protecting our state parks and our private property beaches.
Got it, thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
I would just speak in favor of the resolution and acknowledge Ernie's long battle against federal and state agencies, and they're trying to control every aspect of any property that abuts water. You know, as you mentioned, Phragmites, but also huge, glops of whatever would come up. And remember, Ernie, when I was in the Senate and we worked with SOS and you on.
We even came to Washington.
Yes, and also to Washington, yeah. But, yeah, they wanted a permit to take it to a Class 4 landfill in Detroit to even remove some of this crap off your beach. So they're always trying to overreach, and I think this resolution is well-written and will send them, hopefully, a message in terms of showing them that the local support is still there to maintain access to our beautiful waters.
We have to pay merit where it's due. The well-written resolution was actually penned by our mutual friend Laura Olgar. So my hat's off to putting the verbiage down.
That's great.
That makes sense, and again, it lets the Corps know that we're watching.
Yeah. Thanks, Ernie. It's a good resolution.
Thank you. Anything else? All right. Then all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Same sign, and we'll move that resolution. So let's go on to petitions under B for the Bay County Courts. Petition 1, appointment of attorney magistrate and non-attorney magistrate, seeking appointment of Maureen Fitzgerald as attorney magistrate and Leah Fournier as non-attorney magistrate.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the resolution moves. All right, under B2, service enhancements, seeking approval of outline 2022 court service enhancements and required funding authorization for board chair to sign.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Discussion. Go ahead, Commissioner Coogan.
Thank you, sir. I can support some of this. Like, I can support number 1, utilize 215 fund monies to take 2 part-time positions and make them full-time positions. And I can support 2 as well, and possibly 3. I don't have a problem with that, but to create 2 new positions without us having a financial analyst, I can't support. So if we could amend this to address 1, 2, and 3, and then for the 2 new positions, once we get a financial analyst and they can dig in and do the work that we can't do and give us a recommendation, then I would feel more comfortable doing that. It's only been, what, 4 months? I don't know what we're waiting for. I mean, we make the decision. I shouldn't be looking at you guys. We make the decision. So with that being said, it's been moved and supported. I'd like to amend it to support 1, 2, and 3, and then refer 4 back to when we get a financial analyst and give them some time to come up to speed and let us know what all this is going to cost and what the need is out there, because we have no idea what the need is.
I'll support it.
Maybe we could hear from somebody from the courts as to why this position is needed and at this cost.
And I think that would be a wise move first, and then if we want to move back to that motion and support, then we certainly can.
Good afternoon. I'm sorry, Commissioner Hart, your question is why we need the positions?
Is this different than what we had before? Is this a new position, and why is it needed? You know, is it something, why are we adding this in the cost basis for it?
Okay. So one of the parts of the court system is you have to have an accurate recording of hearings and things like that. So these are positions that we have in the court. And when we only have enough people to do the work at the judicial level. And so we ran into a problem when an employee was off for an extended period of time. We looked at other options to try and see how we could cover it. We have some staff in-house that are also certified to help cover those kinds of things, but of course it keeps wearing thin as we have fewer and fewer people. So in trying to right size our operation, the district court has really gotten slammed with going electronic, and then all the work, the extra work that has to be done with that, and that's what these two positions are to support that, plus be recorders. For example, I mentioned in there, there's only twice a year they do trainings. We had 2 employees set up to do that next month. One of them walked to my office this afternoon and gave me their resignation. They're done on Friday. So there goes one of those opportunities. So we're not immune from people moving and leaving. And then I know in probate court we have 2 certified people that help us record for magistrates and referees. They are expected to retire within the next year and a half. That's what they've told us. So then there goes 2 more of our people that are certified. So it's just been an ongoing problem, and the workload has increased back there, and we need the support to manage it. Any other questions?
Yeah, but the way it reads that you want 2 additional, not to replace someone who left.
Right, they're not. It's 2 new positions.
So it wouldn't be filling the spot that somebody else vacated. It's really filling that spot and then creating 2 more.
Right. I have not had a recorder leave. The person leaving right now was a clerk who was going to get her certification to help us out and record. No, we have not had a recorder leave at this point. The 2 people retiring in probate are clerks as well. One is the registrar and one's, they're both registrars. But they would be moving on, and those clerk positions would get replaced. So these are 2 new recorder positions to float between all the offices and help out wherever need is.
And I guess the question would then be, so what's precipitated the understanding that you now need these 2 extra positions that previously you didn't need? What's changed?
Just the workload and the way the whole operation works. We had a part-time recorder leave recently, but we'll cover that one with existing staff. We're just trying to get, it's just the fact that the workload's going virtual has meant more work. So instead of having the hearing and I'm processing the paperwork and I hand the attorney a copy and the defendant signs a copy, now in addition to doing all the work with it, we've got to mail them a copy. We might have the email for the attorney, we can do it that way, but the defendant, you don't. So all this stuff's just added to, plus that recorder's also managing the YouTube and all of the Zoom and things like that. It's just greatly increased their workload. And as we found out when one took a leave, we know that there are certified people in town that work independently for law firms, and they do depositions and things like that. We thought that's a great resource. We reached out to them, and every one of them told me, I have no interest in helping you. I have all the work I can do. So that's how we worked with this. Judge Sharon actually worked with this company in Detroit. They would come into the Zoom and then record the hearings, and then if somebody needed a transcript, you have to buy the transcript from them. And that cost us $100 an hour to do that. Then they don't do any of the work that's involved in actually the behind-the-scenes work that the recorder does. So it's far cheaper to have the recorder in-house than it is this program. We use them on a very limited basis, and it met certain types of cases, but it doesn't meet every one of them. And it's just been a learning process for us as the workload's increased. We have to look at other options about how we keep that function going, because it's a requirement.
So is the workload increased due to the fact that you have to do Zoom?
Yeah, that has definitely impacted it, yes.
And do you think Zoom is going to continue on? Like, how long do you think you'll have to continue with these processes?
The Supreme Court has come out and told us that we must continue to do that going forward. I think their vision is that will be for the rest of our lives. Yeah, that's not going away anytime soon.
Okay. Thank you. Yes?
Has this thing, I was trying to phrase my question, right? The workload that you're talking about,
yes.
Has it gone, like in the last, can you measure it, like in the last 6 months, has it gotten worse since the courts have opened back up a little bit? And do you think, you've been there quite a while now, do you see it just exploding more as the world opens up again, you know, as far as, you know, cases and people in the courtroom, and, just I know there's a lot to go in the judges are busy, everybody's busy.
Right.
So how long when do you think it really started getting out of hand? It's
been building for some time, Tom, and it isn't just the Zoom, but that certainly was a big impact. It's just like anything, over years, things shift in your operation. And so what laid bare was the fact when we had this person off for an extended period of time, it really showed us the weaknesses that we had in this area, and we were struggling to cover all that. So this is an attempt to try and, stop that in the future.
I think Commissioner Krygier and then Mr.
Thank you. So, Rick, if I hear you, it would cost us more than $95,000 to outsource to have this stuff recorded. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes. Yes. You mean if we were to contract with a company?
Correct.
Yes. Oh, yes.
All right. Not being right there with the courts and seeing what the whole spectrum is, it's like in my business. I know all the different departments. I know where we can do better, where things aren't being done. I just have a hard time saying that we need an extra 80 hours a week, without knowing the whole logistics of what goes on there. So that's kind of where my stumbling is, along with, I think, with Commissioner.
I understand.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Commissioner Coonan?
Well, Kim, you're getting, my suggestion or recommendation is you're getting 2 part-time people going to full-time.
Yes.
So that's 40 hours. And, if you got a problem with people leave, that's not, we could give you 10 jobs. Right. And if you can't replace them, you can't replace them.
Right.
So I support taking the 2 part-timers, making them full-time, and then you taking the administrative assistant and moving them up, and they're going to do some more work, right?
Right. And the court appreciates that, Kim.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The other, as you can see, we need to have somebody, because we're not full-time here. Mm-hmm. I've got no idea what goes on in the courts, to be honest with you, and I don't know if many people do. That's your own fiefdom,
Sure.
But we need to have somebody who can give us direction. And the other part, when we get that person in and they go down and sit with you and anybody else and say, yeah, they need it, I don't have a problem with it.
I appreciate that.
Because if we replace those 2 positions, then every wordsmith in the county is going to come up with another well-written letter like that and want all the jobs that we downsized when we had to. Mm-hmm. And this is replacing those 2 positions you lost when we downsized. And, we'd love to give everybody all those positions back, but
Sure.
what? At some point in time, we're going to run out of money.
Right.
When we run out of money, a lot of unpleasant things happen. And I've been through that twice. I don't want to go through it again. I don't have a problem helping you out, but the 2 full-time jobs, we need to have our guy here, or our girl, whoever it is, I don't know who it's going to be, to do the work and give us a recommendation.
I fully understand.
Yeah, just shed a little more light. It was last fall, right, Kim, when we met with Judge
Yes.
Clyda, and
Yes.
Mr. Redmond was there, and he didn't really, I don't think, indicate where he was coming from at the meeting.
Right.
The rest of us, I think, were fairly sold on the concept that, and I thought, correct me if I'm wrong, but it would be 2 positions for 2 years, primarily, aside from the fact that it's hard to find recorders, but to catch up on all the trials that were delayed during the COVID when the courts were closed. Because is it true now you have a backlog of trials pending?
We do, and we're working through that, yes. Mhm.
And it was for 2 years, so. But, yeah, then when the executive budget came out, it was removed, so looks like we have a little more work to do with the commission if you want to.
Understandable.
So it looks as it's been vetted, somebody looked at this before because it was in the budget, so it was vetted by somebody, and then it was taken out by somebody.
Right, it was in our budget request.
It's not that it's not been looked at by somebody. So from that point of view, I guess the question is who took it out and who approved it originally, and if they thought it was a good idea, somebody approved it in the budget initially, so that's my question.
Commissioner Cooter.
There were a number of jobs in the budget that got removed. And, you know, you have, the department head request, that came from you. So that's where it come from. And administration, I don't know, I wasn't privy to that meeting, but looked at it and left it in there. And our financial analyst reviewed it and said, no, he took it out. So, and that's where I'm saying, I'm not saying I'm against filling them, I'm just saying I'm against filling those 2 at this time. Because every other person that knows how to read a budget, as a department head elected official, is going to come back again and do that. So at some point, I don't, you know, I'm very liberal, except I'm a fiscal conservative. And this is going to, we go down this road, and it's not going to be long before it's going to get kind of ugly.
Commissioner Herrick.
I'm going to disagree only because we know the courts have getting behind her since we've been going along. And, you know, I think it's just time, you know, it's just time to do something. I mean, we can cut some more jobs if we want. I don't think that's going to do any good. But, you know, we just have to make sound judgments and not necessarily, you know, it's not always what we want to do, but, you know, make a good, honest decision. And like I said, we've listened to the court. A lot of people talk about the courts and how much, you know, the problems are happening over there, especially keeping people and the overload that they're getting now. Because, I mean, they've been short judges, they're short people. They need some help, and I'm gonna at least vote to help them.
Anything else? All right, so there was a motion to amend this and remove number 4. That was supported.
That was to refer it back.
That was to refer back number 4. So there was a motion to amend, to move 1, 2, and 3, and refer number 4 back to a later date, have someone put some time in to make sure that those 2 positions are needed. That's been moved and supported. We've already had discussion. Want to take a roll call vote on that one?
You want me to call?
Sure.
Krygier?
Yes.
Fox?
Yes.
I'm sorry, yes?
Yes.
Begic?
No.
Coonan?
Yes.
Radke?
Yes.
Herrick?
No.
Johnson?
Yes.
5-2, motion carried.
All right. So then 1, 2, 3 will move forward, is that correct? And 4 will be referred back. So when we take this to the next meeting, we'll only be looking at portions 1, 2, and 3. Thank you. All right, now on to the Bay County Prosecutor. That is letter C, agreement extension, seeking approval of extension of independent contractor agreement, scanning criminal files.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, that resolution will move. Letter D, Office of Criminal Defense, Renewal Plan Cost Analysis for MIDC Grant 2022-2023.
Support.
It's been supported. And we need to move first, though.
Head of the game.
Well, there we go. You were reading his mind. So it's been moved by Commissioner Herrick, supported by Commissioner Krygier. Moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, that resolution will move. We are in letter E, Director, Department on Aging Agreement with Liturgical Publications.
I will move that.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that resolution will also move on. Now on to letter F, the Health Officer. Let's see, under the Health Officer Designation 1, Morgue Use Agreement, seeking approval of agreement with McLaren Bay Region, authorization for board chair to sign.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that will move. Let's go to number 2. Under the Health Officer, allocation of $9 million of ARPA funding for proposed Community Health and Human Services Center.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That resolution will move. Number 3, under the Health Office, allocation of $300,000 in ARPA funding for Common Intake Project.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Yes,
Just
Commissioner.
out of curiosity, is this a nonprofit, this conglomeration?
It will be distributed amongst a variety of government agencies and nonprofit corporations.
I don't know if we've established a precedent with nonprofits being vetted through
County or
Bay Community Foundation or not. So I think we had some other nonprofits, and the discussion was it should be vetted through Bay Community Foundation. So if this is the same, then we should follow the same process that we agreed upon.
Well, it's a specific project, too, that I guess would be separate from the ones that were originally allocated towards the Bay Area Community Foundation.
I don't know what you said, Joe.
This is a specific project that is separate and not aligned with those that were already allocated towards the Bay Area Community Foundation.
Well, I thought any nonprofit was going to go there, just so we're all singing off the same sheet of music. Is it nonprofit or isn't it nonprofit?
It's a mixture of both. So there's governmental agencies and nonprofits.
So should it be? Well, I mean, we're the folks that decide. We decided that other requests that were nonprofit were going to the Bay Community Foundation to be vetted. Shouldn't we follow what we agreed upon, or what?
I guess the question is, what are the other agencies that are not nonprofit that this money might go toward?
Well, certainly the Health Department, Department on Aging, the school districts. So those aren't necessarily nonprofit corporations or organizations. And then could be the city of Bay City as well. There's a whole variety of different players involved into this whole thing. So it's not just not-for-profit organizations.
But this is to set up a system.
The system, yes.
It's a system that links you all together. You're not shooting 10,000 to this nonprofit and 10,000 to that school, right? It's all part of this bigger project.
Yes, so share information and share that intake from people.
So I think that the question would be, just to make it a little bit more clear, this request is money that you're going to be using to be able to create a system that would engage like everyone. So you're basically building something from the ground up. This isn't a.
That's correct.
This isn't a nonprofit thing. This is a thing where you'll be putting in all the legwork all the time to create a system so that once one form is filled out for those in need, it would then be disseminated to those other areas that may need it. Some of those may be nonprofit, but it wouldn't be a nonprofit actually asking for this money. You're really, this is more or less the health department's situation where they're taking this project on and using the funds to create a system to do one form so that you don't have families in the example that you put forth, that young lady who's 27 years old has 3 kids that all may have separate issues. She has to bounce from place to place to place despite the fact that she doesn't have transportation. She can instead come to one central place, fill out one form, and that form then is sent out to all of these other.
That's correct. So if she goes to Mid-Michigan Community Action Agency, she can fill out the application and the information there, rather than have to come to the health department and then bounce to McLaren Bay Region or to another.
So she wouldn't even necessarily have to come to this building or place that we're proposing to create.
Not necessarily, no.
She could go to any of these other places and perhaps fill out that paperwork, and if this system's in place through the money that this would be put aside for, that would then be communicated to all the other places that she had to go.
Yes.
So they would have all of the background, all of the information, so that they don't have to go through all the paperwork again.
That's correct.
Which is difficult to begin with.
Absolutely.
I think you mentioned FAFSA. My 3rd child just had to fill hers out for the first time. And
we share that pain together.
Yeah, it's not fun. And it's every year kind of fun. You got to find all the stuff and remember what it was your password was. Because they keep the same password for all 3 kids. It's like, I mean, come on. But anyway, it's my own personal problems there. So so that's really what this is. This isn't necessarily a nonprofit. It's really money.
No, we're not just giving them money to say, hey, join us in this project. You know, it's a thing of you're going to commit to this project. And basically, you're going to commit to this project, and the goal of that project is just to have this common intake system.
Okay. So this wouldn't necessarily be something that you could actually go and petition to the Bay Community Foundation for?
I wouldn't venture to say so.
Yeah, okay. That's kind of what I was trying to get to, so that we've got a common understanding of what the money would be used for and how it would be. All right, thank you. Yes, Commissioner Krygier.
I just want to say I appreciate the explanation to get a better understanding. And I'm sure that what Kim was going after was to make sure that we're not mixing apples and oranges, that what we did for one, we're doing for all.
No, I understand that, yeah.
A different situation, so I appreciate the discussion.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Can live with that as well, but I just wanted to make sure that we're going to treat everyone the same, so.
All right. Any other discussion? No? All right. Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We'll move forward. All right. And then the allocation of $60,000 in ARPA funding for electronic medical record software.
So moved.
Support. Been moved and supported. Any discussion? All right. Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That will move forward. Now we are under letter G, I believe. Retirement Administrator purchase of military time for retirement purposes for Mr. Ryan Gale.
I'll move it.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that will move forward as well. Now we are under the Personnel Director for vacancies at 911 Central Dispatch, the Sheriff's Office, Correctional Facility Officer, Animal Services and Adoption Center with the Typist Clerk, Health Department WIC Program, Mosquito Control Seasonal Staff Positions, and the Environmental Affairs and Community Development Gypsy Moth Program, Gypsy Moth Assistant Coordinator, and of course the Recreational Facilities Seasonal People at the golf course and Pinconning Park.
I'll move
Yes.
them all.
What was the corrected?
Support.
Yes. And let's make sure that we've got the correct information on the Gypsy Moth. That one would be, instead of 1781 per hour, that's 1896 per hour, I believe. And you said you wanted to move them all?
I'll move them all.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And those will move forward as well. Okay, now let's see, we will move on to, under Personnel Director, now we are on number 2. Fifth year step for PN10 and MN16 pay scale.
So moved.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That will move forward as well. That concludes our portion of petitions and communications. We will move into referrals if we could. Referral A, Personnel Human Services Committee, January 18th, 2022, in regards to the financial analyst vacancy. I believe that we have, or you should have with you, a job summary of what it is that we would be looking for. Is there anyone that would like to bring this up and discuss it at all? Yes, sir, Commissioner Krygier.
Yeah, I'd like to know where we're at and what we're doing. There are things coming up now that we need some outside direction, and I'd like to know what the status is, if there is a status. I mean, we all sat here and had an individual that I thought fit the bill, that was well qualified, and we all had a testament of what the credentials were, but it went south, so.
Commissioner Herrick, did you?
Yeah, I'm just looking for the, I don't see, I thought there'd be, I thought that there's a job description in here. but- Do you have yours? I don't have.
I think it was sent in a separate email.
Right? Yes. And, you know, and I think the intent is to, and so we had the personnel director kind of write something up and then see if there's anything that anybody thought should be added to it or taken from it, and then to go from there. But, you know, that was, I think that was the intent, to make sure everybody was at least thinking in the same frame of mind about what exactly we were looking for. And so she wrote that up, and it got pushed out, and everybody got a copy of it. So that's what the discussion is about, you know, what you thought of what was sent to you. How's that?
That sounds good. Are there some who haven't had a chance to maybe take a peek at it yet? Yes, Commissioner Begic.
I sent Personnel Director a job description for, I think it was Wayne County, so I assume you sort of incorporated some of that into what was presented earlier?
I did. So the information that I had used to create that was the initial job description from many, many years ago, the questionnaire, the JDQ that was filled out during the wage study by the previous board analyst, and the job description that you sent to me from Wayne County, and I kind of combined all of those three things into one description.
Thank you.
So Wayne County, Oakland, Macomb, Bay County are county exec type of governments, and I contacted the other ones, and they have analysts that work for them and do the board's vetting of the process, which I think is good. It balances the executive and legislative branch and comes up with a good answer, we hope.
Sir? And theirs is a full-time position as well, Commissioner Begic? Do you know? Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, yes, it is.
So like I said, so the question is there, you know, this thing can be massaged, so is there anything that anyone else would like to see in there? If it's something that's in there that should not be in there, and that's what That's what
The point was supposed
Tiffany
to
had
be,
to
sure.
work with, you know? And
Absolutely.
so if everybody's fine with it, then we move on from there.
Commissioner Fox.
Yeah, one of the things that I would like to see as part of this position as one of our only 2 employees as a commission is some type of communication with the commission. So whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, I don't know, but making us aware of any issues. And we all can't be everywhere, every time. There's a lot of things I know that happen that I'm not even aware of. So just adding a communication piece with the commission.
Tiffany, you, like, would that come, you know, that last line doesn't say anything that, you know, the commission, any other needs of the commission, or...
Well, there is a catch-all in the
But it can be
last
very
line.
specific, too. Like you said, if you want, it should be, you know, once a month, you know.
I don't exactly know what it looks like. I just feel like there's a communication piece that's missing and making us aware of different things.
Yeah.
I could go with the email thing. I still don't really know what happened there.
It can be emails.
But you know what I mean? The communication and making us aware of issues that may or may not be there.
Commissioner Coonan.
Yeah, I would point out-
I'm sorry, Commissioner Pigot. Commissioner Coonan gave me a high sign before you
Sorry.
do. We'll come right back to you.
It's an at-will job. If they want to keep their job, they communicate with everybody. Common sense is going to go a long way with this. We can kick this down the road another month or 2. It's up to you guys. But I don't think we need to wordsmith it anymore. You know, they work for us. They keep us informed.
Commissioner Pigot.
So I would point out it is a legislative financial analyst, so the legislative part happens pretty quick, so
Right.
hopefully they would keep us updated on what's going and what we can do, maybe
So
influence people.
you could even put something into this, like you said, that number 14 where it says all other duties as assigned. I mean, if you wanted to do something in there where, as a board, you decided you wanted to have bi-weekly like synopsis of whatever meetings or things that are coming up, you could have them do that and email that out. Or anything, you know, and that could be agreed upon, I think, I don't know do you think it would have to be added into this job description, or can it just fit right under that all other duties as assigned?
So it is my view that it should be added because it should be purposeful and it should note that that is really important. The communication amongst us as a commission and with the county department heads, individuals, whatever. I mean, if we're going to work together to move the county forward, then we need to communicate. And it needs to be purposeful and intentional.
I don't see a problem with any kind of, I mean, most other places, they've got a weekly update that you get from people if you wanted to do just something simple. I mean, it may not be very long.
I'm not saying it has to be weekly, I'm just saying that type of communication language.
And I agree, but I would say if you're going to add it in, then you need to add in what the parameters are going to be, or you just leave it as number 14 and just say this is what we want. Otherwise, you'd have to stipulate exactly what they would have to do in this particular form. So, anybody want to agree on how many email updates you'd want?
Well, I think
Or just leave it in that?
if you put in there 4 votes, you'll lose your job. Then they'll be
Say that. That's fine.
4 votes, so keep everybody happy. Do your job, that's all it is, do your job.
Did you have something you would like to say?
Yes.
Okay.
You could add a line that indicates routine communication as determined by the board, or something along those lines, so that way, if it changes, you know, maybe you start out with some certain frequency, and then you change it, so we could just put something like that, routine communication as determined by the board.
I like that.
I'm fine for it.
All right. So with that said, are we good with making that change and then putting this out there? Okay. So we can perhaps then Tiffany will make that change. Can we then actually like move this piece so that gets going and we can start going? Because obviously the due date of January 14th is already passed. So these people are going to be out of luck when they try and apply. So if you add that, are we in agreement we can move this? All right. So then we'll move forward on that. Thank you.
Is there a motion to accept?
Yes, so I guess we need a motion, so moved.
Support?
Moved and supported. Any discussion? We already had it. Yes,
Just a point of clarification, Mr. Chair, does this mean that the board is approving the advertising and posting of this position as well, or you're just approving the job description? What exactly are you approving?
thank you. So
Probably need another meeting, kick it around a little bit.
shall we put in there that we are approving this once that tweak is in, and then post it? Is that what we're talking about? All right, so I believe that's what the motion is supposed to be for.
Thank you.
So thank you. I appreciate you clarifying. It's almost like you're a lawyer or something.
Yeah.
So, all right, so it has been moved and supported. All in favor? Aye. All right, so we'll move that. And then, where are we next? Oh, unfinished business. So you should have a resolution number 2022-54. And we're going to slide this under unfinished business because Amber wasn't here, so I didn't ask her if we needed to have this approved before we started. So since it was something that was already started, we slid it under unfinished business. So I hope that's okay.
Great.
All right, so this is in regards to the Bay County Board of Commissioners recognizing there are several areas within Bay County with no access to broadband. So this is basically approving the IFB for $153 for broadband study.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Commissioner
Just
Kuzak.
out of curiosity, isn't that what I brought up a couple months ago? Then last month, I got wordsmith that we had to do this huge
I think actually the first time the motion was passed, it was to allocate $150,000 toward broadband, and it wasn't clear if it was an RFP or an IFB or what exactly it was. It went back, a scope of work was determined, and I believe that the determination was made that they would go out for an IFB to see what entities are out there and available to provide the service. And that is what this resolution does.
Any other discussion? All right, it's been moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, and that will move. All right, so now we are on to miscellaneous. Is there anything for miscellaneous? Oh, yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just real brief. Last week, Commissioner Krygier reached out and wanted to follow up on a question they had about how much funding for spaying and neutering of animals. And in 2021, we spent just over $17,000.
Sorry, how much?
$17,000.
That was last year?
Yes.
And I know you do, but I don't know if you got it on yet. So what would an average, because I would assume last year was not average.
No, we had a lot more animals brought into the shelter. We didn't adopt as many as we typically do. We transferred some, so the revenue from that was impacted because as part of the adoption process, that part of that fee, some of that money goes back into paying for spaying and neutering. So it was a different year, overall. Hopefully this year will be better and adoptions will pick up so we can help, recoup some of that. But
Thank you. Thanks for all you do.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
If I could. So Craig,
yes, sir.
again, what do you anticipate it to be for 2022?
2022 is hard. It's hard to say. We budgeted like we typically do. It's usually status quo, so it's around that $20,000 mark. Okay. We've hit that before historically. Last year was a little different. Adoptions were from 2019 to 2021, just in dogs, we're down 40%. So it impacted that line significantly.
And so when it comes to the neutering and spading, do we ship that out to a variety of vets, or what are we doing?
Sure. So that most of that expense is done through All About Animals and in Flint, and that's a monthly transport that comes up on the last Tuesday of the month. And that's where the bulk of the animals will come. We'll ship off on average about 40 cats and 6-7 dogs every bus.
So they all go to Flint?
A lot of them do, yes.
Don't we have nobody in our immediate area that could?
Not for the price. It's about $80 for a dog and $40 for a cat. So it's significantly reduced to participate in that program.
Okay. It's unfortunate that we don't have anybody local that stop us from having to transport all the way to Flint and back. I mean, 45 minutes there, 45 minutes back, with all the expenses that they could still do it affordable. So,
And fortunately, they provide the transport, so, you know.
well, I'm just saying,
Yeah, right.
somebody still has that expense. So, all right, thank you.
Then you might want to mention, Craig, too, that all of that cost is reimbursed by the Bissell Foundation.
Sure.
As long as they're adopted out. And I know everyone laughed when we said about releasing a cat, but the lobby has a new pet cat out in the front, and it caught 2 of the mice already.
All right. Put them on staff.
Absolutely, put them on payroll. Did a good job.
Who's on the board?
All right. Any announcements?
So I was at the NACO conference, so I don't know if you want to report now or at the full board meeting. I'll make it quick. I'm on the Health Policy Committee. We had 5 resolutions. The one that pertains most to us is Medicaid reentry for prisoners, either before, when they're charged, before they're sentenced, they lose their Medicaid. We're trying to get that back. We've been trying to do that for many years now. There's another one to try to get them back on Medicaid as soon as they're released from prison, because it takes time to get them back on. So it would save us money countywide if we could get them back on Medicaid quickly. Broadband, we had a lot of discussion on broadband, and there's a gentleman from Kentucky, a past president, who has broadband to every community in his county, which is a rural county, Boone County. So there's a way of doing it. There's a way they leverage grant money, ARPA money, and got the local, the people that bid on it to throw some money into it, also to do fiber to every house. So it's doable. We talked about the American Rescue Plan. There were several seminars on that. We sent out an email a little bit earlier about the website where you can go and look and see what other counties are doing, how the funds are breaking down, where they're putting money. A lot of it is in healthcare, or health departments, things like that. So it seems like that's a popular one, as we just did. So interesting convention, and anybody can join the steering committee if you're interested. They have different steering committees, about 10, 13 different ones, and the next convention is in Colorado, Denver, Colorado, in July, if you're interested.
Should Denver's nice in July.
We might have some funds available. I believe we do.
Can you still ski in July in Denver? Probably.
That's all. Good time for teachers, by the way. Colorado.
It would be. It would be.
Madam, Mr. Chair, I move to adjourn.
Support. All right, it's been moved and supported to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
And we are done then.